Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks Live. Hey Trip, glad you could make it, man. Yeah, you gotta take them boots off, dude. After working all day, first thing you gotta do is take those boots off. Yeah, yeah, I work some long days, long hard days, and that just feels so good to take those boots off at the end of the day. Well, I guess I'll start this out with the news on Trump and all that. Hey Jeff, what's going on, buddy? Glad to see you, man. Glad you can make it. Good morning. This is our evening show in Australia and our morning show in America here. LJ, glad you can make it, dude. Yeah, that whole thing with Trump and Israel and all that, right? He went over there and bombed Iran and then brokered a peace deal and shit, right? He brokered this big sweet peace deal over there in the Middle East and then went to sleep, and they were dropping bombs on each other before he even woke up. He woke up to to another war that they're bombing each other already. He couldn't even get a full day of peace under his belt. I don't know what the hell's wrong with those people over there. Bucky, what's up, dude? You've been AWOL for a while. Glad to see you here, man. Lake, hello over there in Norway. Our Viking friend Lake. Good morning, everybody. Glad y'all could make it. But yeah, over here, looking at it as just a normal person, normal average working person in the United States, looking at that shit over there, like, what the hell are they doing? Just constantly at war with each other, constantly killing each other and shit. How would it feel just to be constantly at war, lobbing rockets and shit at Mexico and Canada? That would just be so strange, you know what I mean? I just can't imagine it. What the hell? And them lobbing shit over our borders constantly. We get a lot of immigration from the southern border, but I can't imagine them just constantly lobbing missiles and rockets over here and us doing the same to them. Literally for generations. They've been at war over there for so long. It's just crazy. And even the people that actually try to stop all the fighting, they just have no luck. Those people, they just want to fight each other. And the reasoning behind it, I'll be honest, I have no idea. I don't know. I assume that it has some kind of religious thing going on over there, something to do with religion. That's as far as I know. I'm just really not interested in why they're fighting over there. I really don't give a shit. It's stupid, and I don't find myself interested in researching a lot of stupid shit. But for whatever, I'm sure it's important to them, but it just seems really stupid to me. So me saying that will probably make them really mad. But when you're outside looking in, I know this from personal experience. When you're involved in a situation, and I say this a lot too, that the rules for things normally, they stay true from the smallest unit all the way to the biggest unit. You know what I mean? What's true for a family is true for a country and a city and a town, and you know what I mean? It stays pretty constant. So, and when you're in the middle of something, like when you're in the middle of a stupid argument or something, and you're defending yourself and you're trying to prove your point, now it seems really, really important, It seems really important that you get your point across or whatever. But somebody on the outside looking at it and they say, hey, these two dudes are arguing over some dumb shit. What the hell? Why are they even arguing over that dumb shit? You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I feel about all that war over there in the Middle East. I'm sure it's important to them because they're in it. But when you're on the outside looking in, it's just there's no reason for it. What the hell? What's the point? Just stop. Just don't do it. y'all will be happier if you don't fight in all these moronic wars. Yeah, Hatfield and McCoy syndrome, Trip. Yeah, exactly. And like, what the hell? AC, good to see you here, man. Norway, another Viking out of Norway. Glad you could make it. Yeah, LJ, they've been fighting forever. You know what I'm saying? And for the rest of the world looking from the outside at them doing that shit, it just seems preposterous. Metal Gear, glad to see you, man. Glad you can make it, dude. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes you just want to grab those countries and clunk their heads together like Mo. Like, you know, just stop this dumb shit. What are y'all doing? You know, it doesn't make any sense. Well, you're wasting time and wasting energy and wasting lives for what purpose? What's the point? What's going to happen when somebody wins this war at the end or something? It's been like one long continuous war, and just, you know, the opposition just kind of changes around from they like passing a baton in a relay run or something. You know what I mean? They just it's never ending, dude. Yeah, I believe that, Trip. It's probably got mostly to do with religion, with Islam and Christianity, I guess. From what little I understand, I don't try to go too much into that because I just don't understand it enough. You know, if they were come to my house and try to do some shit, I would care more. But over there in the Middle East, whatever, just stop. just quit that dumb shit. Yeah. But Trump learned a lesson over there. He thought he had peace secured, and from what I understand, he went to bed thinking that he had brokered the biggest peace deal of the century, and woke up the next morning and nothing had changed. They'd already dropped just metric tons of armament. He was so pissed. He dropped the F-bomb on live TV. He was so mad. Yeah, that shit cracked me up. The Civil War, Metal Gear Punisher, where's that? What Civil War are you talking about? Yeah, sleeper cells. What, here in the United States, LJ? And that's the thing. If I've heard about the sleeper cell, people are scared of the sleeper cells and stuff. But some of the people saying that are the same people that wanted the open border. And you're like, wait, hold up. You wanted all these sleeper cells to come over here. Now you're scared of them? You know what I mean? I'm sure they're over here, but the people who were promoting the open border have no room to talk about some damn sleeper cells. You don't get to fearmonger about sleeper cells if you were, you know, pro wide open border and pro, you know, United States getting invaded by illegals. You don't get to play both sides of that damn net. No. Yeah, that's I would say yes, Lake. Has the state become the very crime syndicate it was meant to fight? Yeah. Oh yeah. And it has been for decades. This is just what they're doing. They're on a long game. They're playing a long game, and it's worldwide. You know, at least. Well, I can't. I assume it's worldwide, but I'm positive that it's all across Western civilization, every country in Western civilization. But I assume that it's a lot. It's just worldwide. Yeah, don't be scared, just be prepared. Yeah, I'm not big on the fear mongering stuff. I understand that the fear monger might get clicks and views and stuff like that, but that fear mongering, there's no reason for it. I believe that fear is a tool used by the governments, the institutions, and shit like that. You know what I mean? There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be afraid of. Just be prepared. Be prepared for what's coming, whatever it may be. It might be peace and prosperity. Hell, but even if you're prepared for the worst, it's not going to hurt anything if we have peace and prosperity. You know what I mean? So, but if you expect peace and prosperity, and then the worst comes, you're in a pile of shit. You're in for a hurting. So I just like to be prepared for whatever may come. And like I've said before, I'm kind of lucky in that I live in Florida. So by necessity, you must be a sort of a prepper down here, because we got to prep for hurricanes. If you don't do that to some degree, then you're just being foolish. We get hurricanes. So yeah, so you're not thought of too much of an oddball, for prepping down here in Florida. Yeah, that's possible, Tripwire, why he put those troops in position. Yeah, I still haven't figured out the whole thing with him and Musk. Yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth because I'm skeptical, and so I support Trump. Don't get me wrong. I support Trump. I'm behind him. He just does some stuff sometimes that it makes me wonder about him. But I never completely abandon him as far as what he's doing and all that. And as long as he keeps doing good stuff, I'm just keeping an eye on him. I'm trying to figure it out, what the hell is going on with that shit. Because he just does some funky stuff sometimes that I disagree with. Bombing Iran was one of them. Stay the hell out of that shit as far as I'm concerned. Why on earth would you do that? I mean, that's as I said before about different levels of society. When you get down to the smaller group and you do the same kind of shit, it's just stupid. You know what I mean? It's like if your neighbor, you hear your neighbors arguing over there across the street. So you jump up, leave your wife, run across the street, and start punching them. You know what I mean? You start a whole fight over there, and start brawling with them, get involved in the neighbor's shit. And your wife's sitting there just shaking her head. Like, what the hell are you doing? Why did I marry you? You're a moron. You should have stayed on the couch and finished watching the TV show with me. So then you go to jail and all this shit and all the repercussions. So when you do that shit on a smaller level, in a smaller group, the stupidity is obvious. You know what I'm saying? But the leaders of countries do this stupid shit, and it's praised. The exact same dumb shit. They get fawning applause and shit. It just blows my mind. Mike Fleisner, what's up, Mike? Glad to see you here, man. Glad you can make it. Yeah, Lake, we do. And as I've thought about that, I need to make a whole video on that, which me and Lake have talked about a little bit, which I will do here pretty quick. But I have literally been working 12-hour days. I come home and just fall asleep and wake up and go back to work. So I have not had time to really put a whole lot of thought into this. But that whole thing, what bothers me is all this robotic AI shit, and they're replacing us. So then it won't matter if we say boycott anything or just refuse to comply, it won't matter to them because the machine will keep rolling without us. There'll be certain small jobs that can't be done by robots yet, or whatever. I don't know how far advanced robotics can go. Can a robot be a handyman? A robot can be a doctor. A robot can do, there's a lot of stuff a robot can do. But I don't know. I don't know how many of us are going to be able to be replaced by a robot. And then, not only that, I just think they plan on having more robots than people. I got to be careful about how I talk about the population issue and how they see the number of people on the planet, right? Their views on that, whether there are too many or not enough, which y'all know what they think about that. But I can't just come out and say it on YouTube because they'll ban me and shit. Yeah, y'all won't see me anymore. So when I start talking, like stumbling around trying to find the right words, y'all know I'm tiptoeing around the censor. So they see the world's population and they think that a certain number is correct, okay? And if they can get robots to do most of the jobs, then they can attain that number. Maybe I won't get banned for that. So yeah, I think that's their goal. If you can interpret what I just said, filter that through your brain. Yeah. Yeah, peace and prosperity. I they're just not gonna let that happen. Laziness and neglect. Yeah, Metal Gear. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, possibly LJ. I don't know. Uh, I've done videos on that whole spectrum thing. So when I see a dude on TV so many times just acting like a normal guy, having normal conversations, and then somebody tells me he's autistic, okay. I've watched the guy many times, dozens of times on interviews, talking and stuff, but now he's autistic. All right, okay. I'm not going to argue that. I don't know, but I just he just seems normal to me. Let's put it like that. I don't know. He might be autistic. Hell, I don't know. But that whole spectrum thing, I've got issues with that, as y'all know from my previous videos. So if a guy acts normal and he's autistic, okay, he's autistic. Yeah, yeah. When the state takes a cut of the loot, it's called taxes. When the media does it, it's protection money. Both promise you safety, but only if you pay. Yeah, like, yeah. And when you look at it like that, when you break it down like that, and you look at the truth, not the propaganda, not the training, not the brainwashing, the truth, just the facts. Break it down to the facts. They take your money by threat of violence and force. They will come and with weapons and put you in a cell unless you give them money. So that is robbery. Again, with the scale thing, when you take it down to another level, you just take it down to the household. Now, if I go over to my neighbor and demand money with threat of violence, that's robbery. But when the government does it, It's taxes, and I'm supposed to be rah, rah, rah. I pay my taxes. I'm a patriot. And that's just brainwashing. I don't know what else to say, how else to say it. It's propaganda. It's brainwashing. We've been brought up in that institutional kind of thinking to believe that it's patriotic to get robbed, and it's patriotic, to be proud to pay up and all this. And only when you realize that we never had taxes until 1913. The United States ran for 150 years or something without taxes. They were just fine. We didn't have taxes until they instituted that bank, and we didn't need that bank. That bank was unnecessary, completely unnecessary. We wouldn't be $37 trillion in debt right now if that bank hadn't been instituted in the United States. America would have just printed its own money. So, yeah, it's all just bullshit. It's lies upon lies upon lies, a big circle of never-ending lies and propaganda and brainwashing. Yeah, Trip, the mafia was more honest until they became the government. Yeah. Victoria Emmerich, glad to see you here. Welcome to the show. Yeah, they meant what they say. Yeah, LJ. AI tried to blackmail the operator not to change his code. Oh, its code, yeah. Yeah, that did happen. Yeah, I read that article. But it was set up. It was a setup. They just gave the AI tools, right? The tools and opportunities, and saw what the AI would do with them. All right. And the AI used the tools. They didn't tell the AI what to do. They just, in a closed environment, they offered it tools and opportunities, and then told it that it was going to be upgraded and deleted or whatever. So the AI blackmailed the guy. The AI threatened to release personal information and let his wife know that he was cheating on her and shit. Yeah, if he kept on with his line of action, the AI was gonna tell the world basically all the shit he was doing. So yeah, that actually happened as far as I know. Yep. Yeah. Now, that is true. The guy was having an affair, but he wasn't actually having an affair. They just provided the AI with the emails, with access to these emails that said he was having an affair. He wasn't actually, you know what I mean? But yes, that did happen. They just wanted to see what the AI would do, and the AI did it. The AI pulled out all the stops and started blackmailing the guy and shit. Now that's what I understand from the article I watched. Yeah, LJ, I get it. He jumps around. I've been seeing people jump around on stage since I was a little kid. You know what I'm saying? I've seen spasmodics jumping around on stage doing crazy shit. Look at our rock concerts. Those dudes doing crazy shit on stage. Elon Musk isn't anywhere near as insane on the stage as I've seen people be. But I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm not going to claim to know. I'm just skeptical about everything now. Yeah, I'm just skeptical about it all. Anything that any kind of medical shit, especially medical shit and pharmaceutical shit and all that, I would be willing to bet. I would bet a lot, let's say, that they come up with medications now and then find a whatever a diagnosable malady to treat, that medication will treat. It's inverted now. They come up with a medication and then they find something that it treats. They don't find a malady and then try to come up with a medication to fix it. It's the opposite now. They come up with the medication and then they start looking for shit that it'll fix, Oh, you have trouble writing with your left hand? Here's a pill. We got a pill for that, Oh, the side effects are bleeding from your eyeballs and ringing ears and all this shit, but you'll be able to write with your left hand. And it's just so, I distrust the medical and pharmaceutical companies and institutions so much now. And it's not, I'm not trying to be argumentative with anybody or anything. I despise them. Yeah, LJ, birth certificate and social security numbers and all that. Yeah, and that will wire. Imagine when that's all digital and electronic, all that stuff. You won't be able to fake that. You can't get a fake ID anymore. You can't fudge on your taxes anymore. Every dime you make, every single dime you make, the Fed will get its cut, and it won't matter. You won't be able to work for cash under the table anymore. You won't be able to support your family. If you sell a 20-year-old used lawnmower, the Fed's going to get its cut. If you go, help an old lady and she wants to give you $5, your grandma wants to give you $5 or something for helping her, the Fed's going to get its cut. And with this digital shit, this digital ID and this digital currency that's coming down the pipe. Yeah, the Fed will get its cut out of every cent that's exchanged. There will be no more cash under, under the radar, where we have this whole personal economy under the radar with cash. I'll give you, whatever for this, and we won't report it and stuff like that. No, everything, you won't have to report it anymore. They'll already know. They'll take their cut right off as soon as it happens. You want to give somebody $100 for something, he'll get 70 of it, and the Fed will get their 30. It won't be like it is now. The Fed will get their cut out of every cent we spend. Yeah, Mike, yeah. The spasmodics, yeah. Yeah. All right, LJ. Yeah. I'm not arguing the fact that he's autistic. I'm just saying I have questions about that shit. JP, dude. Yeah. Yeah, we're trying, man. But yeah, that's and I made that video earlier this week about that. And that's coming. Now do we know that it's coming in 2030? No, but there's a good chance of it because that's what they're pushing. That guy Soros wrote that book about the Great Reset and all this shit. They're just coming right out and saying it now. That guy, the guy from Microsoft, I'm not going to say his name because last time I said it, I got banned for quoting him. Well, not banned, but that one video got banned. He's just coming out and saying just crazy, wild shit. Just he's like he's got Tourette's or something. He's just saying shit out there that's just mind blowing, and just he should be imprisoned for, and he's just saying it out loud now. And yeah, and if you even repeat what he says, on YouTube and quote him and give him credit for the quote, yeah, YouTube will still freak out and they won't post your video and shit. And I'm living proof of that. They did it to me. They wouldn't even post that video. I just quoted him. Yeah, it's insane. But yeah, they're just saying out loud now, because most of these people they're on board with it. They think it's good. They think it's good. Take all my freedom. But I get a basic income, and I don't have to, I don't have to do anything. I can just, sit on my couch and drool on my phone, and I won't have to do anything. I know, and the only thing I suffer is that I won't be allowed to leave my house. Well, I don't leave my house anyway. I don't go outside. Everything's delivered. I don't even, all I do is drool on my phone. And you're telling me that you're going to pay me to do that? Oh, that sounds fantastic. You know what I'm saying? So these people, they're on board with it. A lot of the population, they're just straight up on board with it. And they like the idea. It sounds great to them. They don't, fresh air and sunshine, freedom, hell no. Lock me up. Let me live online. Let me, teabag dudes and just take my clothes off online. That's fantastic. That's what I do anyway. And you're gonna pay me for it to do it now. Oh, that's great. So yeah, it's coming. It's coming, and that's the thing. That's the insidious part about it, and the reason that it's definitely coming is that more and more of the population want it. They're begging for it. They want it. They choose it. If you gave them an option, they would choose it. Yeah. And they're just clueless. Gardner Earth guy, what's up? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. I think we're the last thing stopping that. I think the younger generations, like I was just saying, they'll be begging for it. So as we leave the planet, it's just it's going to happen 100%. Even if the global system, the banking system and stuff, even if they change their minds, the people would still clamor for it and demand it, I believe, after Gen X is gone. Yeah. Iran has no internet at the moment. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's another thing that I don't know who. I think that doesn't America pretty much control the internet? Isn't it in the United States, or is it have they made it kind of just open where? But I'm pretty sure somebody's in control of it. I just don't know who. I don't know if they can just shut off the internet to a country. I know somehow a country can censor and shut off the internet to its own borders, but I don't know if someone above them. I would bet that someone can, like whoever's at the top of the internet. Who runs the damn internet? Like they could just shut off the internet to a whole country if the country doesn't play by the rules. But yeah, I know that some countries, China specifically, they censor the shit out of their internet. There's only certain things that their population are allowed to watch, right? It sounds crazy to me anyway. But yeah, they somehow they throttle their internet and only allow certain things to be shown. Oh, North Korea has its own internet? Gen X Jack? Oh, glad to see you here, Gen X Jack. You just now showing up, or you been here a while? I didn't know that. Now, I heard that North Korea has its own little world there, its own little software. Like it's got its own version of Linux that it uses and that the people use in there. You know, that's their main OS. Some version of Linux and different things like that. I didn't know it was North Korea is like a digital island, right? It's secluded in off by itself. And so, and that's another reason I think that they do this kind of stuff is to gain control of these countries like North Korea and Iran, you know, these countries that buck against that whole thing. They want to get those countries on their digital platform, digital ID and all that stuff. What's the point of being a global government if you got a couple of countries that just won't do it, you know? They want the whole enchilada. And that's another thing. Speaking of Iran, and Korea, remember during Trump's last administration when Korea was messing with missiles and shit? Remember Trump nicknamed him Rocket Man. I don't know the guy's name in North Korea, that leader, Wung Chao Mao or something like that. But they were testing missiles and stuff. And Trump went over there and talked to the guy, but they battled on Twitter for a while, and the guy was mad at Trump, and Trump was calling him Rocket Man and all that, because he was launching all these rockets, testing these new rockets and stuff, right? And I don't know, but I'm just refreshing your memory on that whole situation. And Trump went over there and made friends with them, and they were okay after that, right? And the guy quit testing the rockets and all that. My question is, why didn't that happen with Iran? Why wasn't Iran testing anything? Why weren't we seeing satellite pictures of these mushroom clouds where Iran was testing these nukes? Why is Iran the only country in the history of the world, the history of mankind, to develop nuclear missiles or nuclear armament without any tests? They didn't test anything. Nothing. Not a firecracker. They didn't test anything. I've seen videos of United States and China and Russia testing their nukes. They've tested them out in the ocean. They've tested them in the Arizona desert. They've tested them on islands. There's an island somewhere, I forget where. It might be off of Alaska, but I might be completely wrong there. But they've nuked all over the planet, testing these nukes, okay? But somehow, for some reason, Iran doesn't have to do that. They just have nukes. They're getting nukes. They're no testing, no nothing. Nothing on the news about Iran testing any armament anywhere. Nothing on the internet. No internet sleuth digging up any pictures of Iran testing anything. It's just word of mouth. Word of mouth. Got bombs dropped on them. Iran's testing nukes. Oh, okay. It's go time. You know, launch the planes. That kind of struck me as weird, right? That whole thing there. Iran is the only country in the world to work, you know, on a nuclear system like that without ever testing them. Never. They've never done it. Never seen a mushroom cloud. Never nothing. Nope. Not Iran. Somehow they're either bumbling idiots over there and they have no idea what they're doing because they've been working on this nuclear capability for like 40 or 50 years now, right? And so they're really bad at it. The Iranians are the worst people in the world at developing nukes, or something fishy's going on with that whole thing. I'm not sure which one it is. Okay. Okay. So they do have a controlled internet, LJ or JP. Sorry. They got the info from somewhere, and showing force in America is wanting to refine the nukes. Yeah, I don't know. The stuff just doesn't add up in my head, and maybe it's my head that's wrong. You know what I mean? I'll be the first to admit that when I'm wrong. I'm just I'm just trying to explain why stuff doesn't add up in my head, um, and why I have problems with stuff. Sometimes I have problems making shit make sense in my head, but like I said, it may be my head that's wrong, and that's why I like having these discussions, and y'all bring up things to me that I have never thought of before. Oh, okay, now that shit makes sense. Okay, you know what I mean? So, yeah, um, I don't know what the hell's going on with that. I want to believe in Trump, so, and I tend to, honestly, I still have questions that pop up in my head with that, like the whole Iranian bombing thing. But then after he brokered the peace deal and got mad when they broke it, that just seemed really human. That didn't seem scripted or anything. He was mad. He was upset. He brokered this deal, you know, and he was going to be the guy who brought peace to the Middle East. That was going to be, you know, one part of his legacy. And when that fell apart on him, you could tell he was pissed. He wanted that. So, I mean, it seemed like it anyway, but it all could have been AI generated for all I know. I saw the shit. It was dots on the screen. So, but still, I tend to have faith in him. Hopefully, he'll end up being a good president for the United States when it's all said and done. But I just know at the same time he's fighting against the deep state, and he's being undermined and screwed over every time he turns around. So I don't know how many lies he's fed and how much disinformation he's given. You know what I mean? You go in there, and who knows what kind of, you know, photoshopped satellite images he was given. You know what I mean? To lead up to his decision. Maybe they were real images. Maybe they were photoshopped. Maybe he was told the truth. Maybe he was just fed a big line of bullshit. We don't know. So I'm skeptical, but at the same time, I'm hoping for the best as far as Trump goes. when we talk about other parts of it, like other institutions, you know, the deep state part of our government, the big corporations, the food industry, the educational system, the pharmaceutical industry, those, I'm skeptical, and I expect the absolute worst. I don't even have any hope for anything better. That shit is just damaged beyond repair, and it needs to be dismantled and reassembled from its foundations. You know what I'm saying? There's no amount of fixing what's broken in the pharmaceutical industry or the education industry. It needs to be dismantled down to its foundation and started anew, as far as I'm concerned. I just, if we let them, you know, talk us into fixing it. Oh, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix. They won't fix it. It'll seem like it's fixed for a little while, but that's what they do. They promise shit, and then but they never produce. They never produce good results. By the time your mind is off of the broken education system. Okay, that they're going to fix that. It's good, and then there's something else to divert our attention, and then the education system just goes back to the way it was. Yeah, LJ. Yeah, we're paranoid with good reason. Yeah, we've seen it all, been threatened with it all, the sky is falling, it's the end of the world, everything you can think of. We've seen it, we've heard it. With the ice ages and they've been threatening us with climate destruction for decades. Like every 10 years it was a new one. We've got 9 years to right this ship or we're all gonna die. I mean, since I was a kid. And then it just seemed like the last so many years, that they came up with this. I forget how long ago it was that they came up with the change. The climate's changing. So now they don't, they can stick with that now. They finally wised up and they can stick with that. And then anything that happens can be blamed on that, You can't very well be claiming that global warming is going to kill everybody and then it get in the middle of a blizzard, you know what I'm saying? But if you're screaming about change, well, hell, this blizzard is worse than any that I've seen in my life. It's getting worse. Look at the size of those snowflakes. It's getting worse. Look at the size of that hurricane. It's getting worse. Look at the size of that wildfire. It's getting worse. We've had wildfires tear through the West every summer since I was a kid. I volunteered and fought wildfires in Oregon before I joined the Army. And I was fighting wildfires, I mean, not just one season, but I did it in like 89. So there have been wildfires, bad ones, forever. So we can't blame that on climate change. It just, I mean, you can, and they do, but it doesn't make sense. Not when that shit's been around forever. You know what I mean? So it's just that crazy shit. They've learned how to manipulate the masses. They're figuring this shit out as they go along. It seems they used to threaten us with a different kind of apocalypse every decade. Now they've just got one that can extend into an infinite future. Oh, the climate is changing. Everyone, we got to raise your taxes. We got to rob you for more money. Yeah. And that's the thing about Metal Gear Punisher, the new Ice Age. That's climate change. I mean, think about it. If it's an ice age, see, we were right. We were right all along. The climate's changing. Or if it turns into a hot jungle, climate in the future. Oh, we were right. No matter what happens, we were right. We hit the nail on the head. So it's just ridiculous. And when you look back and look at the archaeological data that they've dug up, the Earth used to be a hot jungle. And before that, it was an ice ball. And before that, it was a hot jungle. It's just a repeating pattern. It's constantly changing. It's the nature of the Earth. So, yeah, I just laugh when I see that shit now. Yeah, that's the hope, JP, that he's there to show the cracks in the system, and that's the biggest hope for him, is that he's an outsider, right? He already had his own money. He's already a billionaire. He doesn't need their $5 million payoff. That's nothing. He doesn't need that shit, right? He's not going to sell out because he doesn't need the money. He's already his own self-made billionaire. He doesn't need their shit. So that's the hope, exactly. That he can't be paid off. He can't be. They can't change his mind with money and shit. Now the only question is like Elon said with the blackmail, is he on that list? Hell, I don't know. Uh, but that could very well just be bullshit, Or maybe he did visit the island a couple times. No telling what he did there, even if he did. So I don't know. It's hard to figure that kind of shit out. But there is room for doubt there. Whether they can't buy him off, but can they blackmail him? I don't know. Yeah, Trip. Yeah, that's another thing that keeps coming up is, speaking of compasses, is the pole shift, the pole flip. Yeah, when will that happen? Because it's been moving. I saw the radar of the movement in the last 20 years. That's the poles are moving. So when will it flip like that? And what will that do? Hell, we don't know. We don't know what that's going to do. It might do nothing, or it might cause tsunamis and all kinds of shit. We don't know. It might kill all our electronics. Yeah. Yeah, poor penguins. Yeah, Trip. Yeah, JP. Yeah, it's called seasons. And some winters are worse than others. Some summers are worse than others. I mean, just in the last 10 years, we've had summers here in Florida that are like 6 months long, and I'm not exaggerating. And then some summers are short. It's relatively cool in the spring and the fall, and decent winter, and I mean, for us anyway, for Floridians, it's a short summer, and it goes back and forth. It's just the natural ebb and flow of the weather, of climate. So, yeah, we get a lot of that, JP. 4 seasons in one day. Yeah, we get a lot of that too. Scorching sun, pouring rain, cool in the morning, coolish, 75 degrees in the morning. It feels cool to us, feels cool to me. Yeah, retro electronics, Metal Gear. That's not a bad thing to invest in, especially if you can do it inexpensively and you probably stock up on a few cheap replacement parts and repair parts and stuff like that. That'd be a cool hobby, and you'd have communication equipment in case of an emergency, whether that emergency be a tornado or a hurricane or a wildfire or whatever. So it's not a bad idea, even if you don't, kind of hope for an apocalypse like Gen X does. But yeah, I made that video that, why does Gen X hope for an apocalypse? Kinda. Yeah, I always have. So it was surprising to me when I started making these videos and I found out that y'all kind of hope for an apocalypse too. Yeah, we all want to be the road warrior. Oh, okay. Yeah, JP, I know how you feel, man. Yeah, you need a you need an umbrella or a parka or so, then a sweatband in the same day. Yeah, Greta Thunberg. What a joke. Yeah, tripwire. SPF 500 to polar bears. Yeah, and then I guess the Antarctica is growing pretty rapidly, or it grew rapidly last year. It added, I don't know how many thousands of square feet or meters to it. But yeah, it froze up again pretty good last year. Yeah, right, LJ. Yeah, exactly. We're sick of this bullshit. Sick of being lied to. Just, I mean, and lied to from above in every direction. The media, the pharmaceutical industry, the education system, the government. I mean, every single, they just cannot tell us the truth. You know, the corporations. Hey, why don't they tell us? Why don't they put a big sticker on that on a food label that says, "Hey, we changed this ingredient. This is no longer real shit. This is just a chemical we're putting in there." You know what I'm saying? They never do that. They just put the shit on the shelf like it's the same stuff we've been drinking for the last 40 years, but it's not. Now it's a chemical. And they don't know what it's going to do to the human body for after ingesting this chemical for 10 years. They might have studied it a little bit to find out, make sure it's not going to kill you in a week, you know what I mean? But they don't study the effects of that shit over decades. They have no idea what that stuff is going to do. And that's giving them credit. That's saying that they didn't study it for decades and they don't know what it's going to do, right? What if they did study it for decades and they knew the harmful stuff it's going to do and they put it out on purpose? They gave it to us on purpose because of the harmful effects. That there's just too many lies, too much deceit, too much propaganda and brainwashing to trust any of that shit, to not be sick of it. And I'm sick of watching other people just fawn after these liars and thieves, and go out and protest for them and do all this shit. I mean, they're called sheep, and I don't know. I don't want to keep calling them sheep, but what the hell else do you call them? These sheep that go out there and just, follow the tune of the bagpiper, and just follow everything and believe everything and don't ask any questions and just do what they're told and don't think about the consequences. They just assume that all these people are truthful and honest and looking out for their best interest. They're not greedy or any of that. They're just, they're just like family. They care about me. And the truth is, they don't care about us. They do not give a flying shit about us. We are just money printing machines. We're meat robots to them. That is it. They will send us to war. They just anything. They would just use us up like we use garbage bags or zip ties or any random household tool or item that you use. That's how they use us. And it's just obvious to anyone who cares to take 5 minutes to look. And that's one of the things I'm sick of the most, is seeing the masses of people falling for this shit. All right. And I got to call this one because I got to start getting ready for work. And remember that we'll have another one tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And I think it'll be 6 a.m. Monday for those of you in Australia, if my clock in my head is right. 6 a.m. Monday in Australia. It'll be 10 p.m. in Norway, right, Laik? Am I right? Does it come on at 10 in Norway? I think so. JP, you're in Australia, aren't you? JP, am I right? Is it Monday morning. And y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. All right. Yeah, y'all excuse me. Y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. And thanks for coming. Lake, Trip, JP, LJ, Bucky, Metal Gear Punisher, Jeff 7. I don't know if I've left anybody out. I'm sure I have. Let me see here. Mike Fleisner. Can't forget Mike. Gen X Jack. All right. All right. And so we'll be on the next one, and that's the longer one. I'll be on for 2 hours on the next one. We'll get into some really conspiratorial shit tomorrow. All right, everybody. Thanks for showing up, all of you. If I missed saying your name, I apologize. Victoria, yeah. All right. Thanks for showing up and chatting with us. And I'll leave you there with that. As always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.